Welcome to the VectorVest University. My name is Cathy O'Nan. I'm the Manager of Internal Training, and I'll be your host for this week's special presentation. It's entitled Back to Basics with the Long-Term Winners. A lot of our subscribers are looking for investments that they can hold over longer periods of time. In December, I presented the original birthday game where you could test the performance of the top 20 stocks in the database that was ranked by VST. VST is our master indicator, bringing the stocks with the best combination of value, safety, and timing to the top of the list. It's our default setting in the stock viewer. In the birthday game, you could do a quick test looking back over the 3 most recent years, choosing your month and date of birth, choose the top 20 stocks ranked by VST, and quick test the results. You could win a free month of service with VectorVest if one of those runs did not have positive returns. Well, we changed the game, and a couple of weeks ago, on January the 8th, Dan Mish, who's our Director of Retirement Services, presented the new version of the birthday game. This birthday game allowed you to go back 20 years. Just like before, you could win a month of service if you didn't show a positive return of the top 20 stocks, starting with your month and date of birth, and you quick tested to the end of 2015. Other than the time frame, this version of the birthday game had one major difference, and it was the sort. In this version, the stock viewer had to be sorted by RS, relative safety, not VST. And this sort result showed spectacular results. Dan presented in his presentation the results from over a 20-year period. In this report, he shared our Director of Research, Todd Schaefer's returns. He ran 4,697 runs, and out of those, 4,621 were winning runs. That's 98% winners using that relative safety sort. With this information, we found the key to long-term success in the stock market is to buy stocks with outstanding financial performance, stocks with consistent and predictable earnings growth. Our proprietary indicator, relative safety, or RS, is the key to finding these smoother paths. Relative safety can identify these companies that have consistent and predictable financial performance. So relative safety is that indicator of risk. I've often heard Dr. DeLito refer to it as the missing link. He often says, when someone's telling you to buy a stock, do they tell you how much risk you're taking on? The definition of all of our indicators can be found in the program. Let's take a look. I'll move us over into the VectorVest 7 platform. I'm starting from the Home tab. I'll move us over to the Viewers tab, and we'll choose the Stock Viewer. As I mentioned earlier, by default, our ranking of stocks is Value, Safety, and Timing, the VST Vector Score. You can find the sort here in the spreadsheet. You'll see the arrow pointing down. You can also find the sort just above the date. This will give you the option to edit the sort. When we right-click on any stock, if you choose View Full Stock Analysis Report, you will find all the information you need to make a decision on buying a stock. You'll have the graph of the stock, a graph of the industry. You'll have some volume information. You'll also have the industry relative timing or short-term price trend. In the detail analysis, you'll find the definition of all of our column headings along with company information. This week we're focusing on relative safety, and here we have the definition. RS is an indicator of risk. With each individual stock analysis report, you'll find the rating of the stock that you've chosen. However, I do recommend that you print one of the stock analysis reports if you're not familiar with our indicators. That way you'll have it handy at your desktop for reference. Here in our definition, relative safety is computed from an analysis of the consistency and predictability of a company's financial performance. Debt to equity ratio, sales volume, business longevity, price volatility, and other factors. A stock with an RS rating greater than 1 is safer and more predictable than the average stock in the VectorVest database. VectorVest favors the purchase of stocks of companies with consistent, predictable financial performance. With this indicator doing the work for you, you do not have to analyze financial statements. Just think of how much time this can save you. I'll close this report. Now back on the stock viewer. To find the stock with the least amount of risk in our database, we can sort by either clicking on RS, or you can choose the Edit Sort, and from the drop-down window, choose RS. I have the setting on descending, bringing the safest stocks to the top. Our current top stock is Nike. As you review this list, there'll be lots of companies that you are familiar with. Next, I'd like to share with you a back test that we ran using top relative safety stocks. Our back tester buys stocks from Unisearch, so first we'll move to Unisearch and find the search and review the parameters and the sort. Moving to the main navigational tab, Unisearch, we now have our list of group heading or folders here in the left-hand column. The search that we're using will be located in the Searches Retirement folder. Dan Mish's special presentation a couple of weeks ago, as the Director of Retirement Services, he mentioned that many of the searches in this folder use a component of relative safety, either in the parameter or in the sort. In the folder Searches Retirement, we're looking for the search called Long-Term Winners RS Descending. Now we see the parameters that are being used to screen through all of the stocks in the database. Our first parameter is the stock's price actual at the time of the search has to be greater than or equal to $1. Next, we have the average volume. It is the 50-day moving average of volume greater than or equal to 100,000 shares. This will give us some liquidity. We've also, in the exchange, noticed the arrows pointing away from one another. That means not equal to. We have excluded the following list of exchanges. This way, we're not choosing bulletin board, the indexes, and some of these other over-the-counter exchanges. This is the list of parameters to search for stocks. The power of the search can often be in the sort. Just to the right of the run search, we see the sort is RS Descending, relative safety, bringing the stocks with the least amount of risk to the top. If there is a tie in the score, then they will be alphabetical by symbol. If I run the search, stocks over $1 with average volume, we find Nike again at the top. If you look to the lower left-hand column in the comments section, this search finds stocks with consistent and predictable earnings growth. This sort brings the stocks with the strongest performance right to the top of the list. Using this search, we run a back test, and I'd like to share those results with you. We'll move over to the back tester. First, we'll look at the settings of the back test. I'll choose Edit, and this opens up my back test setting. The name of the back test, Long-Term Winners, Relative Safety, Descending. And here's our trading system. We're using market timing confirm calls. On our rules up, when we have a confirmed up situation, we're buying stocks from the search Long-Term Winners, Relative Safety, Descending. Our stop criteria will be recommendation sell, and we'll try to maintain 10 positions, automatically replace closed position, and invest the average portfolio value. In our confirm call down, we'll take no action. To better see those settings, I'm going to choose Customize the Trading System. In the upper left-hand corner, you see Market Timing Confirm Calls. This backtest setting requires that you have the auto timer. The auto timer is an add-on tool for end-of-day and intraday subscribers. If you have real-time data, you do have this included. If you do not have the auto timer, we will have a link for you to obtain a free 2-week trial. It can save you a lot of time. The test can be run without it, but you would need to identify each market turn to run the test. And the auto timer is a great tool to automate back testing over longer periods of time. You can choose any of our market timing settings, and we've chosen confirm calls from the drop-down list, and here are the rules for confirm calls. You can either choose next or choose the second item in the left, automation rules up. The backtester is asking, what do you want me to do when I get a confirm call up? We're buying stocks long, and we're buying from the search long-term winners, relative safety descending. Under our stop criteria, we're using the recommendation cell. The stop criteria will be met when a stock's recommendation is equal a sell. As a quick review, how does a stock get a sell recommendation? It only has to do one thing. It has to fall below the stop price, which is a 13-week moving average of the stock's price that we adjust for fundamentals. Companies that have strong fundamentals will lower that 13-week moving average to keep you in the stock longer. If it has poor fundamentals, we'll raise that to get you out sooner. So once the stock hits the sell recommendation, we will sell the stock. Under the More Setting tabs, let me stretch this wider because this is probably how you will see it on your screen. Under the More Settings tab, we're trying to maintain a basket of 10 stocks. If a stock hits our stop criteria, we'll automatically replace the closed position, but remember, we're only buying in a confirmed up situation. Will not limit the number of positions open in a day. So on the confirmed up call, we'll start out buying 10 positions. When entering this situation, we'll not close any open positions. This means that if we hold stocks through a confirmed down call that did not meet the stop criteria, we'll keep those stocks at the next signal. We'll not close all of our positions and start over. We'll just keep the ones that we already have. So we're not closing any open position every time we get a confirmed up call. We'll also invest our average portfolio value. Our next setting is odd lots. We're not requiring the backtester to buy in round lots, which are 100 shares. Here is one critical setting on this backtest: limit repurchases. We're not going to repurchase the same stock for as long as we've had this test. After we've bought a stock, if it ever hits the sell recommendation, we're not buying it again. Remember, to hit the stock's sell recommendation, the stock has had to have been pulled down in price. It's below its 13-week moving average. Our search is buying high safety stocks. So we want to be careful about repurchasing a stock after it's hit its sell recommendation. It may still have a higher safety score. Next, we'll not buy a stock if it violates the stock criteria at purchase, meaning we would never buy a stock that comes up in the search that has a sell recommendation, because that's our stop criteria. We're going to limit the stocks that we own to 2 per industry to maintain some diversification. And next, we'll also maintain a maximum of a stock's average volume of 2%. That's our settings on the confirmed up. On the confirmed down, we'll take no action. We'll leave the existing positions open until their stop criteria is met, and we will not open any new positions in the confirmed down call. So there's our settings for this back test. So let's now look at the performance. Before I cancel, I will mention the test period. It is from May the 17th. That's the first Friday of when we have our data up until current. If I click in the test window, click on the month and year, that way you can scroll back further. And our choice was on the first Friday of when we were tracking data here in the system. Here's the results, and here is the equity curve below. Focusing on the line of the results, we have the name of the back test. Our timing system was confirm calls. The start date, May the 17th, 1996, and our end date, January the 28th, 2016. Our initial investment was $100,000, and here's our total value, $600,917. Our percentage in winners, 44.77%. Our percent gain loss, 500.92%. Our commissions. This is very important. When you look at the total commissions on a trading plan, that commission has been calculated into your return. So oftentimes I'll run a back test and I'll have some great returns, but the commission is really high. When I look back over the time frame, this is only about 17 trades per year. When you're back testing, make sure this is a plan that is tradable for you. With only 17 trades a year, I think you will all agree, even as a retiree, this is something that you could manage. Our annualized rate of return, 25.43. That's a great return. These stocks, many of them pay a dividend. The dividend that you would have received is not included in this rate of return. The next line that we'll focus on is the max drawdown, 29.86%. Over this time frame, over this 20 years, I do want to point out, max drawdown looks at peak to trough. Where did you feel the most pain? When you're looking at the graph, I'll take the confirm calls off. At the top right-hand corner of the graph, you can remove those from the graph. Focusing on the pullback, it's peak to trough. Where did you have the largest pullback? I will mention for me personally, I was not with VectorVest, and I had a 45 to 48% pullback, I'm embarrassed to say, in my retirement account. And I was actually paying someone to manage that for me during that big pullback that we had in 2008. And I'm sure a lot of you went on that ride with me. Now, as far as the drawdown, remembering in our return, we're not including any of the dividends. One of the other ways that we could have managed this in this drawdown, we could have bought some protective puts. We could have also sold covered calls on the stocks that we own. Covered calls are a great way to enhance your return. If you're not familiar with covered calls, it's one of the most basic option trades there is. With a covered call, as long as you own 100 shares of a stock, you can sell a contract. There's someone out there who's willing to pay you money today for the right to take your stock away from you at a certain price, called the strike price, by a certain date, which is the expiration date. Now, I'm not trying to turn this into an options class, but I will point out we do offer a basic option course, which is on demand. We also offer the intermediate option course, which is also on demand. You can work at your own pace. So if you're not an option trader, consider taking the basic option course, because using options could have mitigated some of the drawdown, and it would have greatly increased your annualized rate of return. But even without, this 25.43 was a very acceptable return. In the graph below, if I choose holdings, we're trying to maintain a basket of 10. We're in a confirmed down call right now, so we're only holding 8 stocks. We're not replacing those 2 positions that we have open. Notice in pending orders we have 0. So 2 of our stocks have hit their stop criteria. In the positions we're holding, you'll recognize some of the names: AutoZone, TJ Maxx, CVS, Costco, Hormel. In our summary, we have our gain loss. On AutoZone, we're up 352% in this back test. TJ Maxx, we're up 133%. Notice the purchase date on these stocks have been several years ago. AutoZone was bought in March of 2009. So this is not a trading plan that you're making a lot of trades. I'll move us back to the graph. And next I'll show you the settings for the back test, and we'll have a link for this PDF for you. Here we have the settings on this back test. Back on the back tester tab, when you go to create a new back test, click on the plus symbol and choose select an existing trading system. As the time of recording, we do not have this trading system entered into the system, but by the end of today, we should have this up for you. You've heard us over the last several weeks really focusing in on relative safety, that key to the long-term success in the stock market. This won't be the last you'll hear of it. We will continue to research and run more back tests. In fact, I'm not sure, but I hope we will run a contest sometime in the near future on tweaking this trading system to improve results. So as you guys run these back tests, be thinking and testing ways that you can improve on these results, and we'd love to hear from you. This brings us to the end of the presentation. Thanks for joining me, and we hope we'll see you back at the VectorVest University.